Hi everyone, this video is for parents of my first graders. I know that you guys have a really big challenge as far as teaching your kids with the online structure that we have. And in art, you're going to have to really support your kids and give them a lot of extra help in order to help them develop those fine motor skills that they really need, not only for art, but for writing and things like that. So, how can you best help a small child with art while you're teaching at home? That's a tough question. Um, First of all, fine motor skills are a big thing. So, writing exercises and practice exercises that encourage children to make certain kinds of marks are going to be really helpful. So if you have them do things like make circles on a piece of paper or make circles within circles, just kind of doodling even, all of that helps them to develop those fine motor skills, to develop the musculature in their hands that's going to give them more control over whatever they're using to make marks with. So there are different exercises that you can do. Okay, so the first one I was saying, just have your child practice making circles, circles within circles. It's pretty challenging to do when I'm doing it on video instead of looking directly at my paper. But this kind of thing will help with their spacing. Have them focus on connecting these circles right to each other instead of, like you see here, this is off where it doesn't connect. So that kind of thing can be really good for developing those fine motor skills, and they could just do a whole page of those. They could color them. Another good exercise for developing those fine motor skills and being able to really make nice lines is to make a dot, and then you're just going to flick to make lines in all different directions. You're not allowed to turn your paper, and you want to focus on just making the lines as much the same. It's really challenging. I mean, this is a really simple exercise, but you notice the quality of lines that go in different directions can be very different. Like here, this one that I made curves, because going in that direction is not entirely natural. Also, things like tracing over, you might have a page from a coloring book and put just like a sheet of copy paper over it so that you can see through. Surprisingly, that those motions of tracing what's there can really help a child develop a sense of how curves go, a sense of how lines go, and help them progress in their art. Another thing that's super important at the lower age level is to really work on coloring skills. And I can't say this enough. Coloring skills can really change the outcome of a piece of art for a child. So I've seen so many times I have those kids who draw really well and they come out with a beautiful drawing and then they go to color it and it's just scribbled on. I was that kid too, so I'll tell you, for me personally, it was impatience. When I got that crayon in my hand or that marker, I just wanted to get it done. And it's something that's really common for a lot of kids to struggle with. And a lot of times it's the really good artists that I see, or the kids who are really good at drawing, who then become really impatient with the coloring process. But learning that just calmness and patience of taking your time to color can change that for a child. So at the young age level is really the best time to start learning that. So if you sit down with your child and get out the coloring books and really teach them, this is how you color, this is how you stay in the lines, this is how you keep an even color instead of having it get really dark in one space and lighter in another. This is how you go back and fill in those white spaces. That's a big one there. Fill in the white spaces. So if they've colored it and there are gaps, have them go back and hunt for the white spaces and really learn to take the time to do that. And it's going to improve their art overall. Also, another thing that you can do to help your child is to do hand over hand technique. So what we mean by that is just putting your hand over your child's hand and guiding them. So if you have a child that's really struggling with how to make a certain mark on the paper, guiding their hand helps them start to see how it feels to make that. And then they understand in a way that is different than just telling them, oh, it just goes this way. So sometimes that can be really helpful, especially for those kids who are super young. And, you know, I've had kids in kinder or first who all they can do when it comes to art class is scribble. And then, you know, I see them in 5th grade and they're doing amazing things. But at that young age, maybe just the development hasn't happened yet. So that's one way that you can help your child be able to develop those skills. Also, making sure that they're holding their pencil correctly can help them a lot, not only with art, but with writing. So checking the pencil grip and making sure that they've got the 3 fingers in a triangle like that, and that they're holding it right. That's really helpful. Really just working with them. Also, a really good thing that you can do for your child is give them feedback on their art. And when they show you their art, they're always so proud. They always, you know, they want to tell you about it. They want you to respond to them. So when your child shows you their art, give them the time to go like, oh, wow, that's great. Stay away from what is it? Because, you know, a lot of times with younger kids, we don't know what it is because they don't have the technical skills yet to really show us. But when you ask what it is, it kind of invalidates them a little, and they're kind of like, oh, you don't get it. So instead of asking what is it, try saying like, oh, tell me about it. Tell me what's happening here. Tell me about the story behind your picture. And then a lot of times they have some pretty wild and entertaining stories that go with their art. Also, make sure that you're giving your child a lot of praise and encouragement. If you need to correct something, like you find that they are being a little bit messy or whatever, you know, try to be really gentle with it, because art is one of those subjects where if you get your confidence hurt early on, it makes it really hard and you really struggle. And some kids are just naturally shy and they struggle anyway with being able to express themselves on the page. So, you know, just really protecting that, that kind of sense of it's okay to create whatever. There's not a right, there's not a wrong. Messy sometimes is good. I mean, there are a lot of famous artists that do some pretty messy stuff out there, but the key between, you know, the key to that is to know that you can choose to be messy or you can choose to be neat. And really, a well-developed artist should have the skills to do either. So don't put it like it's wrong to be messy. You're messing that up. You're doing a bad job. It should be more like, can you maybe just try and stay in the lines a little bit with this? That might help it be easier to see what it is that you're trying to show on the page. So also be open to the fact like that your child might go, well, I want it to be messy. I want it to look like this. I mean, I get a lot of pushback in the art classroom, and I'll tell you, a lot of it comes from some of my like super artist kids who they know what they want to create and it's not what I want them to create, and that's okay. That's actually a wonderful thing. So, you know, there's a place for projects that are step by step and follow along, but there's also room for them to move outside of those lines if that's what they really want to do to express themselves. So just be open to that and ready for that, because you might get some of that from your kid. And really, it's just all about being sensitive to them, being interested in what they're doing, and then helping them just develop those technical skills again. And so anything you can do to help them with that is going to help them progress a lot in their art. Thanks for watching.